Hello, brothers and sisters. I said that we'd speak about Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. Sometimes the sentence is found at the latter part of chapter 12 in verse 17. And it's who actually stands on the sands of the sea. Notice in the verse before, verse 17 of chapter 12, that the devil finds himself thrown down in 13, and then in 17 he goes off to wage war with the remaining ones of her seed, the ones that are staying faithful to Jesus. So, what does he do? He comes up out of the sea in verse 1 of chapter 11, and before him there's the sands of the sea. Why is he doing that? What does it represent? And who is stood on the sands of the sea? This verse has never been understood until God's revealed it. Remember the promise given to Abraham in Genesis. I will multiply your seed as the sands of the sea. And you remember in verse 17 of chapter 12, he said he was going out to wage war with the remaining ones of her seed. So the promise given to Abraham, I will multiply your seed as the sands of the sea. So it's an illustration. And the devil, or the fiery serpent, with all the 10 kings, are now battling to conquer God's true followers. How is it identical to Daniel and chapter 12 and the 1335 days? Well, if you remember in Daniel chapter 12 verse 1, Michael stands up in behalf of God's people to protect them, and then starts the 1335 days. So John originally wrote, or was told to write, under inspiration, I stood on the sands of the sea, or better understood, I stood by the sands of the sea to protect them. Michael is the one that's thrown the devil out of heaven with all his angels, a third of the stars. And he's thrown them down to the earth, to God's precious followers, the ones who believe in his Son Jesus Christ, the seed of Abraham. He's not going to leave them exposed. Michael is given the order to go and protect them. So when we read that verse, I stood on the sands of the sea, the angel's telling John to write that the angel stood on the sands of the sea and saw this beast coming out against God's people, and he stops them. They're not allowed to kill them. Not at that time, not physically. So it's identical to Daniel chapter 12 verse 1. So we can see the evidence building in every area that it is the fulfillment of our day of the 1335 days. We have the sign in heaven, the same as Jesus Christ had the sign in heaven before he was born, and he fulfilled the 1,335 days. We've got the 666 that we've seen in other videos calculate to the number of 1,335. All the evidence is there, and we are well along in those days. The date today is just trying to think of the date. Sunday, May the 30th. And we're approaching fast the 42 days. We're in the 30 days now. We're approaching the 42 days fast, where true Christians will be put under extreme pressure to do something that they don't want to do. And that's the V, which I'm sure you're all aware of now. Anyway, keep faithful. There is not far to go. We are truly in the fulfillment of the 1,335 days, where at the end of them, we're going to be truly blessed. Jesus Christ is coming. Keep strong. God bless.